Data log 2026, May 8th, day 69. Now I resumed driving around with my broken hip because it's my left foot that's broken. My right foot still works. And I was able to take Maggie to school and pick her back up and then drop her off at the clubs, the after-school program that she has, such as swimming yesterday. And one thing I'm thinking about is, what's the meaning of raising children? Of course, there is one of kind of, what do you call it? 小霸王花，延续你的 DNA， 传宗接代 in English。 Pass on your DNA and continue your family line. That's biological.
Pass on your DNA.
All right.
Family line.
Okay.
是一个表达延续家族血脉、传承基因的。
Okay, good. You're continuing conversation. That's the problem. So pass on your DNA and continue your family line. Or it's kind of a thing now, what's good about my DNA? Some people, may feel, oh, I'm intelligent. I don't feel I'm that intelligent. I just have a lot of random thoughts and I follow my heart and my curiosity, and I was lucky. So, I understand that if all humans don't pass on their DNA, then the species is done and gone, and it is a greater human problem. But for individually, what's the meaning? I think, okay, hi Maggie, this is for your future reference. I think it's, Maggie's mom used to say one thing I think is very profound. She said, having a kid is 幸福但不快乐。幸福但不快乐。幸福但不快乐。Let's see what that means. 小爱同学，小霸王花，幸福但不快乐 in English.
Happy but not joyful.
Happy but not joyful. So having a kid is happy but not joyful because raising a kid is such a hassle. It's sometimes you pour your heart and you love them and they don't love you back. It's kind of, I learned is, first of all, it's passing your DNA, your family line, so-called, that's one thing. And it is really fun to see a little version of you or some resemblance of your, self. And Maggie seems a little bit of that. And then kind of living a second life, living your life again through them. But I don't think that's 100% right and correct. We shouldn't extend our life or trying to fulfill the regrets that we have in our life as parents onto our children. They are not our property, and they are not our extension of our life 100%. They are individual, unique individuals that we chose to bring to the world. And loving children, I think, although happy but not joyful, I think shouldn't expect any actual return in terms of, shouldn't require them to have any return. I think what I learned in raising Maggie is, a lesson learned is, if I love her as my daughter, my love should be unconditional. My love should be given and not expect anything back. Although sometimes that's not happy to do when she, yesterday throws a tantrum at me while her crippled dad is still there, and then she goes, So, the other thing I think is, as parents, we have the responsibility and we want them to be better in a way compared to ourselves. But that's hard to compare because each generation has its 时代。小霸王花，时代的红利 in English.
The dividend of the times.
Yeah, the dividend of the times. Like our parents' generation, like Maggie's grandparents, they have the dividends of the time that China is going through the economic reform. And of course, you have to work hard. I think work hard is a given, but doesn't mean work hard always have return. But back then, the dividend of the time for the grandparents' generation is that if they work hard and build a factory or do something, then
这段内容翻译如下：
all
时
right,
代的
all right,
红
all
利
right.
对
Then they get the money and they get the economic benefit. Now, the dividends of my time individually is internet and graduated from college and making high salary is the dividend of my time. And now look at the AI era. There's no more dividend of being a computer programmer. So looking at Maggie and looking at Maggie's time, I wonder, what is the so-called better, right? And it shouldn't be success of one's life should be multidimensional. And I think often around the world, and particularly in China, there's only one dimension, is the economic value, how much money you make in your life. But there are many other values a human create, and it is not always reflected in evaluating a person's life. So looking at Maggie, if you only evaluate how much money she can make, so that that means that what's the chances that she can find another high salary job in the AI era? What about economic rules change in society? Right? And chasing after the high salary job is one dimension, one way to live and define a success in life, but it shouldn't be the only way to do it. And to expect and to figure out how Maggie could exceed her grandparents or her parents, that is, I feel, a unrealistic expectation from a parent to a daughter, from a parent to a child. So given that, I think maybe happiness is one way, one dimension for sure. And also for her, from the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, she shouldn't worry about having a shelter because there are enough houses between her mom and I to at least give her one, or maybe one in China, one in the US. And then there should be enough savings. So if I put together a trust for her, which is currently her education fund, that can continue if she doesn't go to college, and they'll give her like 20,000 RMB a month at least for the rest of her life. And she can just, survive on that happily. And then she can pick whatever job she's happy about. So is that it? But then what about challenges in life? What about, kind of overcome and try to achieve some things that she really wants? That's the meaning of life, isn't it? So if in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and the basic safety and food, shelter and food is provided, then how do you balance between providing for your kid versus giving them opportunities, giving them the environment, giving them, not giving them too much so that they find life meaningless or find life too easy and they don't overcome difficulties and achieve dreams to achieve that higher self-realization? So that's a question. So what are the other parents think about? I know that perhaps research and looking at the super rich, what they do, but we are just ordinary folks. What are other folks think about? Different opinions. Please share, exchange.